Hello everyone and welcome to episode 98 of the Cherry Heart podcast. I'm Sandra and this is a crafty makers podcast featuring crochet and knitting and sewing and anything else I try my hand at. You will find the show notes for this podcast on my blog, which is cherryheart.co.uk. There's a little 3-bar menu in the corner. You can click that to find your way to the show notes if they're not on just the front page. And I shall also put a link for those in the down bar below. You can find me on Instagram as Sandra Cherry HRT. I'm elsewhere around the web as Cherry Heart, but I'm most active on Instagram. And I will also put chapters for this video in the down bar below as well as in the show notes, and that will just give you the timestamps for when I talk about each item, and then when you're on YouTube you can just skip to the chapters now. So how are you? How was your Christmas or your holiday break? It was nice for us, very quiet, very restful. They changed the sort of things here just before Christmas, and where we were going to be able to meet my family we no longer could. We were in an area where you had to stay home and not meet anyone at all. But you know, it wasn't ideal given the situation, but it was fine. It was fine. It made for quite a relaxed Christmas day. So you know, that was, if the situation was different, it would have been quite pleasant. And it still was quite pleasant, but it was just a bit, you know. It's not, when you don't choose these things for yourself, it's sort of got a bit of a different feel to it, hasn't it? But anyway, yes, it was very peaceful and quiet. We just went for some walks and stayed in, really. But I hope you had a nice restful break anyway, whatever you did or were allowed to do. But we're now in proper full lockdown here in the UK. Or, well, I was going to say in England we are, because that's the bit I'm in, I think, pretty much. Sorry, I thought someone was coming. I think pretty much everywhere in the UK is locked down now. Yes, anyway, it's all a bit of a bag of blah, isn't it? But let's move on. Let's get into the crafty stuff. Where to begin? I'll begin with a sort of Christmas-related one. I finished my little cross stitch. Well, I say I finished it. I finished the cross stitch part. So this was a gift from my friend Sam of Betsy Makes, who made me a gorgeous Christmas advent calendar to open with lots of little things in it, which was just so nice. So nice. And I've finished the cross stitch now. Can't really see the dog's eyes in this on there, but they're there. Yeah, I went a bit off-piste with the design, not intentionally, but somewhere up here, this white bit here is a lot thinner and my holly is a lot thinner than the picture. So yeah, I've sort of gone my own way a bit with that, apparently. And the kitten's face is a little lopsided too. Again, all unintentional, but what can you do? Just go with the flow, I say, just go with the flow. Yeah, so now that I've finished that, I'm thinking I could make it into like maybe a little Christmas decoration. I was going to sew a heart, but I think because it's so wide this way rather than that way, it sort of make a, well, I guess I could make a really fat heart, but that wouldn't be my preference. So I might just make it into a little circle is what I was thinking, a little hanging decoration with a circle with a ribbon at the top. Like a little padded one. Although I don't suppose it doesn't have to be padded, couldn't it? It could just be in like a frame or something. That might be nice. Anyway, so I need to do something to finish it as an item, but the cross stitch element is finished. So quite happy with that. That was a nice little relaxing make to do over the holidays. And then the other thing I finished is my Dust of Snow wrap, which I shall attempt to show you now. Well, I say wrap, I turned mine into a cowl. So, let's see if I stand there. Does it all doesn't all fit in. Well, that's one side. So I kind of graduated the colours. I started somewhere, let's go back over here. I started somewhere in here. Oh, actually, look, I think you can see the seam there. I started with the kind of pale, no, I went this way. Coherent. Started, yes, you definitely see the seam. So I started with this and faded into the pale colour. And then I sort of went through the blues, a bit of a bluey green. I was trying to alternate between sort of like a more colourful one and like a paler one with speckles, because I had a mixture of them in the advent calendars. That's what I was trying to do. I sort of more or less did. And then into the greens. This is quite hard to show. Starting to turn yellow. And then peachy. Well, actually sort of more pinky this is supposed to be going into, but I guess where they mould. All nice pinky ones coming through. And then it went slightly peach, so went pinky, then peachy, then it's kind of slight greyish and round to the blue again. Yeah, so I used 18 different minis for mine. I think the pattern calls for 24 because it's written for like an advent minis box. So in the pattern it uses all 24 colours, and it's a great big long, well, it's this wide. I did it, the number of stitches it said in the pattern, but longer. But yeah, I decided to use mine as a cowl. I just thought I would use it more that way. So I did, when I cast on, I did a provisional cast on. And then my plan was to knit round, sort of make the colours come round again and match it up. And then I was going to Kitchener along to close it up so it was all perfectly invisible. But when it got to it, I just couldn't face Kitchener. I thought, oh, I wonder if I just do like a 3-needle bind off. It will be okay. And 3-needle bind off. So that's what I did. So you can see, obviously there is a slight ridge where the bind off is. I'll show you it on the other side so you can see. But really, I didn't think that mattered too much. It's not really the most standouty thing. I mean, you can see it, but you know, when it's all round your neck, it's never going to show, is it? So, yeah, and I very nearly at the beginning, there is this sort of a little bit more solid part of the design, and the other charts that you use are a lace design. So there's 3 different charts in it. And then I sort of had trouble doing this one. I spoke about this last time, so I won't go into it again, but yeah, the old brain wasn't exactly firing on all cylinders, so I just did these. For some reason I got on with these lacy charts better, so I just alternated those through the rest of the cowl. So I just thought, it's a Christmas knit, I just want it to be fun and relaxing. I don't want to get stressed about, you know, agonising over the exact stitch count all the time. So there were quite a few times when, so this sort of, I don't know if you can see on here, can you see? It's sort of like a kind of line like that that travels up consistently through. So each time you start a new design, I just had to make sure that lined up properly, and to be honest, when I came to it, it didn't, so I had to kind of fudge it to get it to line up properly, distressingly more often than not. So I don't know what I kept doing wrong. At the beginning I was going through and checking my stitches and trying to look for the mistakes, and I just couldn't find it. I don't know if my brain was so absent, or I don't know, it's probably one of those things where the mistake was so obvious I just couldn't see it right in front of my face. But either way, I couldn't find it, so in the end I just thought, I'm just going to let that go. I'm just going to live with it and I'll just fudge at the beginning each row as necessary just to make sure. And then once this seam lined up, just whenever I did this, you know, the stitch to make the seam on each new section, I just checked it lined up with the one below, and if it did, I just carried on. So I sort of kept self-correcting as I went along. But yes, I'm going to pop it on to show you. So as you see, it's nice and big and smooshy round. And I just think I'm going to wear it a lot more like this. It's going to be lovely. I haven't worn it yet because I was keeping it nice for you guys. Although I didn't bother to block it actually. Originally, again, I was planning to block it before I kitchened it, seamed it together. But as I was knitting it, I thought, you know, it's not so lacy that it needs opening up. It's laying fairly flat. I'll just go with that. It was a very kind of easygoing, low energy kind of Christmas make. Just what I needed. Oh, I love it. I love it. I can't stop touching it. Haven't seen it on myself. I did try it on when I finished. So I sat here, I just finished the last sort of couple of sections and, you know, put the ends together, my two ends together, my bind off together, and then I sat in and wove in the ends on New Year's Eve while we were watching Jules Holland. Yeah, so I just finished it in time for the end of the year, so that was nice. Right, stop touching it and looking at it. Let's move on to something else. Oh no, I've got another finish. Let me take this off. Ooh, I can't get out. Gives me another chance to wave it in front of you and show you how pretty all the colours are. Oh, the yarn, I didn't tell you, did I? The yarn is West Green Loss and Dandelion and Dogwood. The advent calendars from 2019. That, yeah, I've been keeping hold of, just waiting for the right project. I kind of thought of this very early on and I ummed and ahed over it for so long, because I kept thinking a big, long, big scarf like that I'm just not going to wear. But I just couldn't resist making it. It's just such a gorgeous thing. It's a lovely thing to make, and it's such, you know, you pick it up and you look at all the colours and it just made me happy. So it's very much a process knit from that point of view, that just the process of knitting it is half the joy. But I love it now it's done as well. Right, stop it, stop it. I'm obsessed. Right, so my other make that I showed you in the Christmas podcast is my Festive sprinkles, or Festive stripy socks. I can't remember what I called them. So these were a whip in the Christmas special, and now they are finished. I finished them just before Christmas, I think, because I wanted to wear them. Thought I could have them and wear them Christmas Day, so I think I sort of powered through and made sure I finished them just before Christmas Eve, around Christmas Eve, I don't know. Yes, so the two yarns, this one is a wool barn one in something called Blah Blah. I can't remember, I think it might be called Ballet Slipper, and I think it's in her twist sock base. And then the other one is a stranded one, and the colourway was Street Art. I think the base was Paradise. But yeah, I got the idea to stripe them after seeing Emma's shawl on Hot and Bloom. So I just did, it's pretty much a vanilla sock from my Pick and Mix socks. See how the words are just flowing. But I did a 2x2 twisted cast on rib. No, 2x2 twisted rib. Cast on doesn't come into it. Oh, but I did do my little, like I cast on using the Street Art, the little speckled pink one, and then I changed to the wool barn for the cuff, which I quite like to do that sometimes, just add that little touch of colour at the top. I think it looks kind of cute. And then I just striped. Actually, on one of them, I think it was this one I did first, I did the stripes even number colour of rose, but this bit looked bigger to me. I think it was this one. I can't even tell now. but then on the leg this was, and then I changed it for the foot, and the second one I just did the other way. So I just took a couple of rows out of the plain colour. I think it was just an optical illusion, and like I say, it's an optical illusion. I can't even see anymore. But I did 12 rows for each stripe at first, and then after the first leg, whichever leg was first, I did 12 rows for the speckled and only 10 for the plain, I think. And then it just so happened that the stripes worked out that putting a speckled toe on seemed to work, so I just went with that. My plan was for a plain toe, so I was plain calf, plain heel, and then I was going to go back to plain for the toe, but just the way the stripes worked out. Yeah, I just thought, oh well, I'll just go for a speckled toe. That's fine. They're looking a little bit not great on the hangers because I've been wearing them. I didn't save them to show you, I wore them. Okay, so that's all my finished objects. Let's move on now. Works in progress then. So first of all, first thing I started after I'd finished my dust of snow wrap. Let's see if I can show it to you. I'm halfway through a row apparently. Okay. There we go. It's very hard to show things and fit them on, isn't it? There it is, like a net curtain for me. There I am. I'm doing baby peekaboo here, aren't I? Yes, just trying to sort of show you it. So I've only got this rectangle so far that I'm showing you. And let me tell you what I'm actually making so it makes some sort of sense. So it's from this book here, it's a pattern from this book. I spoke about this book before, I don't know when, at least a few podcasts ago. Anyway, it's Romantic Crochet and it's by Emma Escott, who is Lulu Loves pod and YouTube and Instagram. She's Lulu Loves on. So I love Emma's stuff. She's got a lovely aesthetic and a lovely podcast, so do go and check her out if by some chance you don't know about her anyway. But the book is just lovely. There's lovely pictures in this book. It's very much eye candy, very nice to look at, but it's actually got some really nice projects that I want to make. A lot of books have nice things in, but you're like, well, that's lovely, but I don't think I'd make it. This one's got things where they're really lovely and you want to make them. Or that's the way I feel about it anyway. I'm just trying to find the correct page, which I have marked at the top, so why don't I just use the markers I put on? Because that would be organised. Here we go. This is what I'm making. The Lace Cocoon Shrug. That's Emma there, looking rather lovely. And that's, oh, well, got my thing over. Yeah, so mark the ones I wanted to start on. Yeah, so I think it's like a rectangle and then you fold it up to kind of make the arms. And I think I'm nearly there as well. Got a few more repeats to do, but I'm almost there on that one. Whoops, that was my stitch marker banging down and being rather deafening. So I'm using Drops Bell, which is a cotton yarn that I've got some extra cotton on apparently. Let's check that. Oh no, it's 53% cotton apparently, 33% viscose and 14% linen. That was it, I remember it had linen in it now. It's a DK weight because it says 4mm needle. I think I'm actually using a 4.5 because I think this isn't the yarn Emma used in the pattern, because she used a mercerised cotton, which I have actually got some of. I used it before to make a kind of, I suppose like a shruggy thing, like a like a loose cardigan it was, I guess. But I did find it slipped off my shoulders. Now that might just be that particular design, but I did think, I bet the fact that it's sort of mercerised shiny cotton doesn't help. So this time I thought I'll avoid the mercerised and go for this sort of much more kind of matte and hopefully kind of a bit more grippy, or certainly less slippy type yarn. So that was my reasoning for that. But the meterage and everything, the weight and meterage worked out very, almost identical. So I think it should be okay as a substitution. But yeah, she used 4.5mm hook with hers, I thought, which is sort of going up a hook size on this, but I thought that that would probably be quite good and sort of make it a little bit more drapey, because cotton can be a bit more stiff, can't it, if you're not careful. But as you can see, this isn't stiff at all. And it's a very open pattern anyway, so it probably wasn't going to be, but yeah. So that's a nice make. You know, fairly easy repeat to memorise. So yeah, the only reason I've sort of slowed down a bit on that is I've noticed it a few times lately, and I've kind of been trying to put it off and think, oh, it'll be because of something else, but crocheting with cotton particularly does really make my arm ache now. Well, not really make it ache, but it will make it ache if I do loads and loads. And there's been a few times, and I think like a couple of times last year, I was making something and I kind of wanted to get it done, so I sort of kept doing a bit more and sort of thinking, oh, I want to power through and get this done. But it just made my arm ache. And it's fine, you know, I rest it and a day or two it's fine, but it's sort of a bit of a warning sign, isn't it? You don't want to make anything like that worse. So I'm trying to be a bit more careful with this one and just sort of do a little bit at a time and space it out. But it kind of a little bit puts me off crocheting with cotton, which is annoying because there's quite a lot of things I've thought of lately that I want to make in cotton. But yeah, I find knitting is actually kind of more relaxing altogether than crochet. I do sort of move a lot with crochet. Perhaps I need to change my kind of hook action or something, because I hold my hook quite cat-handed and I do it, I move a lot when I'm doing it. And I think something where my actions were a lot small, I mean they're small, but I sort of twisting quite a lot. But I think something with less movement would probably be better. It's the old joints. You have to think of these things, don't you, as you, you know, advance in life. I had a birthday recently, so, you know, it's a nice little reminder there. I've decided maybe it'd be a good idea to stop celebrating birthdays once you get to a certain age. Like when you're young, you're like, woohoo, I'm 10, this is the most exciting thing in the world. But like when you get to my age, it's a bit more like, well, that's another year gone. I'm so cheerful, aren't I? Right, let's move on. So the reason I'm telling you that is because I wanted to, you know, not just sit and power through this. So I thought I'll have something else so I can do a bit of that and then I can switch to the other thing. So I started something else, which is Lizzie Sweater by Susu Knits, who's Suzanne Summer. She's Susu Knits on Instagram, so it's SOSU Knits. And she's got her own website, sosu.at. Oh, what's that then? AT. Don't know what that stands for. Yeah, so you can't see it very well in this rubbishy black and white photo. I showed you a picture before actually, saying it was on my list of things I wanted to make, I think. Just see if I can quickly summon up the picture for you. There we are, this is it in colour. Glorious Technicolor. Look at that, it's so cool. Because I have shown it before. But yeah, I really love it. I love the jumper, I love the colours, I love her hair. I mean, there's no way I could pull that off, but my god, that looks so awesome. Yeah, so very taken with that. So these the bit at the top here, it's got some brioche in. There's kind of these triangles with brioche in. So So I've made a start on that. Let me try and show you what I've got so far. It's a bit bunched up on the needles, I'm afraid, so it's kind of hard to see. So this is, this is the front, and this will be the shoulders. So there's the neckband, and I've just started, the brioche is starting to come through. Little triangles. I'm so happy with it. I love it. Look at those colours. Oh my god. So pretty. It just makes me do this. Oh, it's so exciting. Yeah, I really like those. So the colours I've gone for my stash down yarns again. Partly because I want to use them, obviously, but partly because I don't think I had anything else better. I was initially, so I'm much more drawn to a little bit more of a muted palette lately, but I really love the colours she's got in that. And these, so I sort of wanted to kind of get close to that, but I didn't have anything quite right, as per usual. Why would I have exactly the same thing as she has? Stop talking, let me show you. So this is the first one. That's the one with all those gorgeous sort of pastel rainbow speckles, like sweetie candy coloured speckles. So that is from, is it Queen Fibre? And I think it's called Penguin. I've no idea why it's called Penguin, because it's not black and white like a penguin. So I don't know, maybe that's a reference to something else that I don't know about, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's called Penguin. And then I had these two in my stash down pile that I thought sort of kind of reminiscent of that kind of jumpery colour. Unfortunately I didn't have two the same, but I'm going to do what I did for my Shrug that I made, which was the Susu Knits ones before Christmas. And I'm going to kind of graduate them in. So I've started with this one, and then I'll graduate this one and just go to, you know, fade out into that one for the end. So this one is another stranded one. Stranded Dye Works by lovely Amy Florence. It's called Feathered, I think it was. It's kind of got like a kind of like a budgie colouring kind of feel to it. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of black flecks in there, but kind of a bluey green. So that's really pretty. And this one is spun right round, which is a gift from my gorgeous friend Amelia in America. And it's called Mintalicious. So that's really pretty as well. And again, it's got a few sort of little speckles in, which I thought would complement that quite nicely. But I started with these two because I thought with that one not having so many speckles, they'd make a better contrast for the brioche, I'm hoping. So that's how it's looking so far. Again, I'm kind of addicted, like I was with the last brioche knit. Now I've started it, I'm kind of addicted. I just want to do a bit more. I've sort of almost completed my first triangle, as I showed you. So I'll just do a bit more, just see how it looks with a bit more pattern on there. I want to see the pattern come out a bit, and then now I'm nearly at the end of a triangle. I'll just finish one triangle and start the next one, just so I can see how that looks. But that's good because it just keeps you sort of, I don't know, it's just a really enjoyable project for some reason. Keeps it fun, doesn't it? I don't know why I keep just holding up random bits and showing it to you, just because it's so pretty and I'm obsessed. I did have a little bit of trouble. Why was that? Oh, because I didn't bother to do a swatch. I just leapt in and started the neckline using the needles it said in the pattern. Now, you know what? My instinct was to go up a needle size because this is 4-ply yarn. I just thought, oh, I just think that'll be about right. And for some reason I thought, no, I'll stick to what it says in the pattern. I won't bother to do a swatch to check if my instinct's right. No, I'll just Idiot. Anyway, so I started the neckline and it just looked really tight and tiny, and also it was like really tight to knit. I don't know quite why. I don't know if I was tense when I was doing it or what it was, but it was just coming out really tight all over. So then I did swatch a bit on the next needle size up. I thought, yeah, that's definitely going to be better. So I've cast on again, on the neck again in the next needle size up, which is 3.5s. Don't know if I said that. But so it's looser because it's on a bigger needle, obviously, but it's just looser anyway. You know, the needles, the knitting is actually sort of gliding on the needles, where with my first cast on, it was sort of like, oh, come on, get the stitches to move. I was really struggling with it. So I must have been more relaxed when I cast on the second time. So it's kind of doubly looser than it was before. But I still think it was the right thing to go up with the needle size. I think the tightness that was there before just wasn't good. Even if I'd restarted more relaxed, I don't think that would have been enough. Anyway, and so hopefully that will work out fine. This is what happens when you don't swatch, kids. And then my only other thing is the seam is at the beginning here. So this is the front, because you do some short rows to make the neckband, see, that's thicker at the back. So that's definitely the front and that's definitely the back. But that means the seam is just slightly on the front, and I would have preferred it if that was slightly on the back. And if I'd realised that when I started doing the short rows, I would have changed it so the short rows were at the back. But I didn't realise that. Do you know what, again, when I sort of read the first instruction, in my head I flagged up and thought, well, isn't that going to make the short rows, you know, that's going to make this bit come around the front, isn't it? And the short rows will be, because, you know, the short rows have to be at the back, but that's going to make this bit, oh, you know what I'm trying to say, the short rows are going to be at the back, but that's going to make this seam come at the front. Is that right? But of course I didn't know quite what the maths of it were, or how how the wrap and turns were going to work. So I thought, no, I'll just go with it. And it has worked out that the seam is at the front. So either I've read the instructions wrong, which is always possible, or I should have listened to my instinct again and gone, just take a minute to sort of check where that's going to come out, because you'll want this. I'm a fussy fart, and I thought it'd be nice to have the seam at the front. I mean, it doesn't matter too much, but the only reason it sort of bugged me a little bit is where you sort of change yarns at the beginning of the round. I've got a bit here where I kind of messed up the stitches. Can you sort of see how stitches on this side are kind of laying flat, and this side there's kind of a little thin bit there where I kind of messed it up and twisted the stitches or something. So I'm kind of wishing, you know, I'm not going to go back and change it, I can't be bothered, but I'm just kind of wishing that was at the back rather than at the front where I could see it. And even this sort of bit where you sort of close up and weave in the end, sometimes you can see a little jog where that is, can't you? So I just would have preferred it back. But that's a tiny, minuscule little thing, and, you know, I love this project so much, I don't really even care. And like I say, I certainly don't care enough to go back and change it. So I'm going to keep carrying on and keep enjoying it as I am. Not sure what to do next. I'm not going to talk about patterns in progress because there aren't really any, because we're back to lockdown, which means we're back to homeschool, and so far it's actually been really good. There's been like loads of online content, and you know, it's really sort of proper teachers' lessons online, so it's been really fantastic. I just really hope that they keep it up, because last time we had lockdown they just kept changing their approach. We had sort of first 2 weeks they did one thing, then the next 2 weeks they changed it and did something else, and then the 2 weeks after that they changed it and did something else, and it was just, let's just pick something and go with it so we know where we are. But this that they've gone for is yet another approach, but it works really well, so I'm hoping that they stick with that, because if they do I might actually have a chance to get something done, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, anyway, the short version of that is there's no patterns in progress. So I'm just going to show you a couple of incoming goodies that I got over Christmas. I got lots of lovely, lovely presents from gorgeous people. I'll just show you a couple of little bits. And then just a very, very quick bit on bullet journaling. I did talk on Instagram about maybe doing a bullet journal sort of video or podcast or something. And I'm probably not going to now because just timing, and like I say, you know, if I'd thought about it before so I could have sorted something out, it would have been fine, but I didn't think about things, and I ended up sort of talking about it on Instagram. So I'll get into that when I do the bullet journal bit. I just got a tiny little bit bullet journal bit is what I was going to say, but I'll pop that at the end in case you're not interested. Everything's very long-winded today. Right, let me just show you my couple of little things that I brought up to show you. So this was one thing, a gorgeous yarn. This is West Green Loss, and this came with a in a package from my lovely friend in America, Amelia. Hello, Amelia. Yeah, she had this sent through for me, and it came with this gorgeous cup as well. This, I think it's called a huggable mug. It's a West Green Loss one as well, or well, it's, you know, she doesn't make them, but she sells them on there. But yeah, that's lovely. So this is called Boots on the Beach, 100 grams, 4-ply yarn. This is 425 metres on her classic sock base. Isn't it pretty? Oh, it just looks sort of summery to me. It's so gorgeous. So that's really lovely. And then this gorgeous thing, again, a lovely parcel from America. This is my friend Marcia. Hi, Marcia. Just such kind, gorgeous people. I'm so lucky. But look, it's like this handmade, beautifully crafted. Look at the little indentation to put your thumb to hold it, and the little love heart. Just the details on this are so gorgeous. It's just a beautiful thing to have in your hand. Just want to pick it up. It's gorgeous. I was just going to show you where it came from as well. She didn't make it herself, I do know that, but I'm not sure the relevant bit. So I kept the sort of packaging that it came in. So there's this, that it's from the Greenleaf Gallery, which is in Illinois. But I don't know if they're the ones that actually made the cup or they were just selling it. And it's also got here, in here. Maybe this is just it. Noel Van Hendrik and Eric Hendrik. Maybe so these are the people that actually made it. But there's no sort of website or anything on there. So I don't know if they sell online or they just make pieces to sell in that sort of place. But yeah, if you were interested in that, just thought I would show you. But yeah, just so gorgeous. Again, another lovely, lovely thing. And of the many, many gorgeous things that Sam put in her advent calendar for me, it ended up with this. Look, an actual clothes pattern. Now this has been on my I need to learn how to sew a garment for years now, and I keep sort of fudging out of it and being a bit, oh, I don't know where to start. I don't know why. I mean, I've learned how to do other things. It's, you know, it can't be that difficult. And also, Sam is an expert and I could just ask her for help. So there's absolutely no reason I should be held back. But yet I procrastinate and dilly-dally and don't get on with it. But I really absolutely am determined that I must do something this year. So this is a big step in that direction, isn't it? And also, because Sam is an absolute darling, she gave me some fabric for my birthday that just coincidentally would happen to work out rather nicely for this. So she's got my number, she knows how to get me going. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to having some time to come up here and do that. That'll be really good. Right, let's go on to my little last bit about bullet journals. So, I've been keeping them for a few years now. This is my new one, which I'm super excited about. But I just wanted to keep you updated, not that anyone asks or probably cares, but I guess just for my own satisfaction. I keep a track of how much yarn I've used and how much yarn I buy each year, with the idea being, or the original motivation being, that I wanted to use up more yarn than I buy. I've got a big stash and I don't need to keep adding more stash than I can possibly use in even one year, that alone is several years. So in theory, to get the stash down, I need to buy in less and use up more. So if I'm doing that, then I'm heading in the right direction. So this was the idea of keeping track of it. So here's my one for 2020. This is the yarn I have used up, and this is the yarn I have bought in. So as you can see, this year it's very clear that I've used up way more little yarn balls than I bought in. So that is very good. And in fact, if you can see these sort of bright balls here, this is, the different colours denote a different month, so I just colour in different colours each month just so I can sort of see. But these bright ones here and down here, that's all December. I know. So if I hadn't had this last minute splurge in December, and this is pretty much a one order. Yeah, I know. So I only had this, and a few little ones in there, compared to this ginormous mountain. So the entire year was just that, and I almost doubled it with one order in December. So the reason I've had such a fantastic year this year in terms of that goal is because all the yarn festivals were cancelled. So I couldn't go and just go, oh, I want that, oh, I love it. Because I see it and I just get a bit excited. So yeah, that's really helped me in terms of this. But it obviously got to the end of the year and I thought, God, I've done amazingly well. I can afford to get a few bits. And I obviously got a lot of bits as it turned out. Yeah, but despite that little lapse, it's not too bad, I didn't think, as a sort of effort. I kind of did a summary as well, just to kind of really show. So the top there is what I've used and this is what I brought in. So I'm still clearly way over. I mean, if I started doing that for a number of years in a row, I might actually get somewhere. Normally, this bar is a lot closer. And it's very sort of borderline that I'm usually only just keeping level with what I'm managing to bring in each year, which is fine. It means I'm using what I buy roughly, but it does mean I keep an absolutely vast amount of stash. And some stash I'm really happy with. You need some, well, this year has proven like no other that you sort of having some stash is no bad thing, because it means instead of having to go to the shop and get something when you can't, you can just pop up here and get something, or pop to wherever you keep your stash and just, you know, get some out. So, you know, there's no way I want to get into the kind of, I haven't got anything and I just want to buy and then use. But I do get a lot of satisfaction this last couple of years of buying something and then using it quite quickly. It just, I don't know, it just feels quite nice for some reason. Anyway, in conclusion, that was sort of a step in the right direction. So I've done, again, if you've been on Instagram, I spoke briefly about Instagram earlier. If you've been on Instagram, you might have seen this already. So what I did, instead of going back to my point earlier, or what I was saying earlier about why I probably won't do a podcast on a bullet journal this year, is I kind of did some stuff on Instagram as it was what's the word? Kind of an easier, sort of more achievable way to put something out there since I hadn't prepared. But yeah, so this is my yarn tracker for this year, which I'm really happy with that because it's quite pretty. And again, one side will be all the yarn I bring in and one side will be the yarn I use up. And then just to explain, because someone was asking, so each ball represents, I mean, for me, I've done it for 200 grams because I've been doing it for a few years now. I know like roughly what the upper limits are likely to be. And I work out if I do balls of about that kind of size, that kind of works out. Like I could have made them 100-gram balls and fit more in, but I just thought, you know, don't want to ram it through the tiny circles, so I sort of did it that way. Kind of just visually looks a bit better. And then so every time I buy yarn, I sort of keep a total for each month. I put my yarn on Ravelry still. I always have done. I just find that's the easiest way. I know not everyone does, but I just, yeah, so I just keep a track of how many I buy, and then I just, at the end of the month, I just colour in however many balls that correspond to how many grams worth of yarn I bought. And then I just have a little list of my projects, and I just tot up how much yarn I use for each of them, and again add that up, and at the end of the month colour in the balls accordingly. Now, if I get, like, you know, if it doesn't come to 200 grams, I'll just colour in half a ball for the 100 grams. And then, you know, and also I don't, you know, I'm not going to agonise over every gram. I just kind of round up or round down as necessary. Or, you know, if January I've got like just 50 grams, like a tiny little section of a ball, I just carry that over to February and hope I get like an easier round number then. So just, I sort of, you know, it's just a sort of visual representation of kind of what's going on that I just like to have, because when one side of used stuff builds up like this, it's very satisfying. Even though you do then go, oh, well, I've got a bit of room for movement there. Or maybe that's good. Maybe that's what you'd like to use it for. You go, oh, well, I've used up all this yarn. I can buy some more now. I don't feel guilty about it. So, you know, I mean, I use it in one way, and if that's sort of, some people have sort of said, yeah, they really like that idea, but you know, you use it how you want to do. And this is like, I've just put my months, I put my, like, how many grams for each month up there just to keep track. So that was all I was going to show you on here pretty much. And I'll try and get something a bit more organised with bullet journals for, I don't know, the beginning of the year seems like a really good time to do it, because it's a good time to start these things, isn't it? But at the same time, just start whenever. So maybe I could just do it whenever. I don't know. I don't know how many people are that interested, because this is a craft podcast, not a bullet journal podcast. But at the same time, I know some people have asked about it. So yeah, there you go. But I'm really happy with this new one. This is my Archer and Olive one. And the ones I normally have are these, which I can't say what they're called, Lectern or something. Lectern. I don't know, I'll write it down. And they're really lovely, really enjoyed those. But the Archer and Olive ones has got thicker pages, and it's very white paper. And this one, although the pages are like really lovely to write on, it's lovely paper. It's well, it's more, and you know, it's perfectly thick for a normal notebook, quite frankly. But it's kind of creamier. I don't know if that shows up on here. Let's put them together for comparison. Oh yeah, look, you can see. And like where I do, I quite often sort of draw pictures and things, because that's the part of it that I enjoy. That's, you know, you don't have to do that. That's not part of bullet journaling per se. It's just, you know, I like to draw sort of little doodles and things in it. You sort of find with these sort of normal weight pages sometimes that, you know, the sort of shadows of things that are on the previous page show through, which isn't a massive problem. But I just happen to hear, there, like this one that you can sort of see I've got. It's my title page, and you can kind of see it from the other side, ghosting as they call it. But on these ones, they've got this sort of specially thick paper made with that in mind, so you don't get that happening. Yeah, and I haven't had a problem with it at all yet, so that's really good from that point of view. So that's my, and then there's just nothing there at all. So that's why I've gone for this one this year, even though it was a bit of a treat because they're a bit more expensive, but this was a Christmas present. Well, I say a bit more expensive, they were a lot more expensive for a notebook, I suppose. These I thought were expensive for a notebook. These are like, well, it varies really. I've only found these on Amazon, and it sort of seems to vary depending on, I guess, on what colours they happen to have on stock or however many, because you can get them in all kinds of different colours. That's the other good thing about them. But somewhere around the sort of £15–16 marks. Sometimes they're a little bit cheaper, sometimes they're a little bit more expensive, or at least that's what it is here in the UK. whereas these ones are kind of in the 28, 30, 32 kind of range. I think these ones with the white paper are more like 28, but you can get ones with black paper and like brown paper and stuff. All very exciting. I think they might be a bit more expensive. But this is an American company, I believe. So it may well be a lot cheaper in America, I don't know, perhaps because we have to get them shipped over here, it makes it more expensive for us. But I got mine from Nikki's Supply store, just because that's another thing people ask. I don't know if they have them other places, very likely they do, but that's just where I happen to get mine. Right, I think that is it. I have no idea how long this recording is. Too long by the look of it. Yes, way too long, gee. Let's hope there's some stuff I can edit out. But yes, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. Like I say, I shall have to see how homeschooling goes, but hopefully I shall be back to a kind of regular schedule of every other week, but that's homeschool dependent, so we'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, have a lovely time. Find yourself some nice, calm, crafty moments, and I'll see you next time.